Hey guys, welcome back to my Chia crypto journey. So today I actually am running and I have the machine that I built out. We finished it last night. I stayed up pretty late and it just made sure the configurations were there. I actually want to point out that I first started with Ubuntu and I had a whole bunch of issues. I was using Ubuntu desktop, the latest version. We had on a USB stick. That wasn't the problem. The installer installed fine, but the Nighthawk Wi-Fi connector is not supported under Ubuntu. I did some research and there was a whole bunch of people having the same experience and trying to get drivers for it. So I said this wasn't the time and place for me to say I want to spend all my time and efforts going into something technical. So I said, you know what, I gotta do this quick. So what I did instead was whipped out the laptop and I created a Windows 10 USB stick straight off of Microsoft, had it loaded up, put in the Wi-Fi USB connector, and it's running. It's actually up here. It's magnetized and it's actually pretty cool. This is it, Wi-Fi USB adapter that's supposedly really it extends out because it's connected to a cable. I could get a better reach with it and it has a stronger signal because my Wi-Fi router is actually not where I am here and is not even remotely close. I can't run in any Ethernet cables, so I have to connect it back to, actually it's on another floor. So far the connection has been stable. Right now the syncing is still going on. I actually ran into a little bit of issue. I don't know if it crashed overnight or whatever. I just came back down and I was looking at the machine and the application for Chia was just closed. I didn't look into the logs yet, so what I did instead was go right back into creating the plots, and right now we are at 19% with the plots. So not bad, running consecutively in parallels of 4. I want to see how that works out once that's done, and obviously it's going to get into the farming stage. And I'll explain a little bit more of that when that happens, but it's going to take some time. It's a very slow process, and hopefully we'll get somewhere with that. Now, what I did want to mention today was in studying their Chia white paper, and of course I'll have this up in the screen as well. So let's just go over to the white paper really quick. It's right here. Okay, this is it. So one thing I wanted to point out, and I think a lot of people are anxious to know what's going to happen with Chia. What is their plan? And I know a lot of people do not want to read white papers, especially one being 31 pages and on and on and on, right? It's a lot of great information though. Some of it pretty entertaining and very valuable, at least to know the general idea what these founders of Chia is planning to do. One thing I wanted to point out, the first thing is on page 4, if you look at this, it says the company has a new and superior approach to funding, building, and supporting a blockchain via eventually public profit open source development company and hold a pre-farm equivalent to a pre-mine of Chia coins. Chia Network intends to list the equity of the company on a major stock exchange to strengthen the credibility and regulatory certainty of its open source software, support business with governments, financial institutions, and enterprise. Now that's very, very optimistic, very direct. They're not hiding any. They're actually saying that they want to go public. Most companies, or in my opinion, when I hear that people want to go public, it's obviously for the money, but it's to build on top of that. Meaning, if it's out in the public, I think what they're saying is they want people to feel comfortable to build on top of it. Chia Network is going to be and in regards to the whole blockchain, is they want people to kind of like an open source to chime in their work, and as a community, it can grow bigger and bigger and bigger. If you think about it, it's similar to how BitTorrent is when seeding files, right? You're seeding files and people are just collaborating to help each other out, and it strengthens that process. Let's just say you were looking for a file, 1,000 other people have it. When you download it, you're not just downloading it from one person, you're downloading it from those thousands of people who have it at the same time, who are willing to contribute to seeding it and putting it out there. So I think Chia is going to work in the same fashion where people are plotting, right? So, but when the time comes to farm, everything, all the keys are out there. Better explanation would be like BitTorrent. And I think that's how effectively it will work. So that's just one portion. I mean, I'm still, don't get me wrong, I'm still trying to have a better understanding of how this entire network will work, how it will function properly, or how it would, how people can adapt to it. One thing for sure, in my opinion, I know is that because it's utilizing hard drive space, which is easier to obtain right now than it is GPU, but that's going to be short lived because there are already articles in regards to overseas in Europe and Asia that hard drives they're running out because people are adapting to this right now. It's easier to accomplish running a machine, 5 hard drives in it and not sounding like a server room or, like a data center and having fans blasting all day. Right. So right now, there's minimal noise coming from this machine that has the 16 terabyte drives that I put in, the times 3. And then, of course, we're running a Ryzen 7 3800, I believe. I kind of forget now. I'm going to have, obviously footages of me and my buddy putting this all together last night and me taking the hard drives out of the enclosure. So that's the white paper on that one. I actually had some information here, but let's go through some of the stuff that would interest someone who's looking into Chia. Bram Cohen, the founder, inventor of BitTorrent himself, also on the white paper was kind of like someone had mentioned that maybe he actually created Bitcoin himself, right? That would have been an interesting one. But of course, as we know it today, we don't know who actually did create Bitcoin. There's only speculations of who that is. Interesting topic. Just to go over some of the members of the Chia team. And I just want to say that, I've been watching Gene Hoffman's YouTube videos, and he has the whole team on Zoom, and they always have open discussion. Very underrated right now. He has less than 1,000 subs, but he's the CFO of Chia right now. He has a history here. You can see that he is founder and CEO of emusic.com, which I visited the site as well. I'm not sure how the site works. I guess you pay for music. I'm not sure. I've never actually bought music. Of course, I grew up during the MP3 days utilizing BitTorrent. So there's a interesting connection right there. And there's also Mitch Edwards, which is the former acting CEO of Overstock. If you don't know what Overstock is, it's been around for some time and it has some great deals. I recall using it in the past a lot. I don't order a lot of things anymore, so my wife does that, so I don't visit Overstock as much. But Overstock has been in existence for quite some time, and I like how their website is pretty upbeat right now. Very colorful, I guess, because of the spring season. So that's that. And of course, it lists a whole bunch of other, whether they're venture capitalists or investors, whoever they are, they're all here. I thought this Slow Ventures one looked pretty interesting, so I had to look it up and see what it was. Most powerful ideas, companies, industries aren't created overnight. Okay. Slow. So yeah, there's not much information on this website. So yeah, it's just a dialogue of something. I guess their company stance or what they believe in. Okay, and then Galaxy Invest Group. Wow, this is like a huge group. They look like commercial real estate investors, and they're part of this whole investors group. So that was that, and I wanted to point out another thing besides going public in like a stock exchange and trading publicly. The other thing was in regards to the hard drive. I have a prediction that, and it's already happening. If you go on eBay, you go to Amazon, and you go to Micro Center, Staples, Best Buy, hard drives are running really minimal. You could pick up lower end, like lower size hard drives, but as you get onto the top notch ones, unless you get them, if you're lucky enough to get them used and still in like decent condition and not overly abused, and there's really no way to really tell by purchasing it, especially secondhand. But in general, SSDs, NVMe RAM chips, and I think just regular storage, anything storage related. If this goes well, if this comes out to the public and the general public knows that having storage, I can mine coins. What we are already in a lacking of inventory of hard drives, or people actually overcharging them now, is going to get even worse. Seagate, Western Digital, Samsung, all these drives are going to be so priced high. The demand is going to be high. The quantity is going to be low. I think that's one thing we're going to have to watch out for. On my side, have already, because this is an investing channel, I have already looked into like the Seagate stocks. It might be a good buy. Long-term wise, putting money into those type of, hard drive companies, or not related to crypto or, anything that blew up in the last 5 or 10 years, it has a steady growth because it's a requirement for a lot of businesses. Even though a lot of companies went over to the cloud base, the cloud guys need storage. So there is a demand for storage always. All right. I am going to also point out one other thing. In the white paper, there's a lot of information technically, and also the direction of what the company wants to go through. And I kind of lost my page. Oh, I think it's right here. Company vision. So it tells you exactly what the goal of Chia is planning to do, right? So they want to intend to sell software, service, and support for its open source blockchain and smart transaction software to governments, right? Financial institutions, corporations, and large buyers and sellers of storage. Chia also expects to foster grassroots development of DeFi, DX, cross-border payments, and new end-user wallet innovations to accelerate the development of new applications and that have not been invented yet but are also possible with a secure distributed programmable money. Our tools will always allow these developers to create application wallets that are far more user-friendly than the what has come before. They are still, and that's on the same page 4, obviously the company vision and going on to the stock market. But one thing I wanted to point out now is that coin distribution is listed on page 15, and I will bring it up here. Let's see where it is. If you look here, if you analyze this, they're saying that 64 Chia will be created every 10 minutes for the first 3 years after launch. I mean, this is a significant amount of coins that are being released every 10 minutes for the first 3 years. And then obviously as year 4 through 6, it's lessened every 10 minutes to 32, and then from 7 through 9 it's 16. What is the reasoning behind that, right? So my logical thinking is that you build a hype, you build a business, you build a foundation, people are into it, right? So 64 times 10 minutes, every 10 minutes for the day, 24 hours. For the next 3 years, you get X amount of coins. And I'll go into more details as we go into the next page. In short, what does this mean is that, as the demand gets more and more, like higher and higher, the price goes up. Right? But there's going to be less coins going forward. People are already holding. They're holding. The whole point of this is not to just hold. It is to use it to transact. So having a limit on it is similar to, how we have dollars and Bitcoin. There's a limitation on it. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head right now that doesn't have a limit is Dogecoins, right? And we don't know what the direction that's going to take as well. So here they have year 1 all the way down to year 21, and then the forming rewards, the percentages of how many of the XCH coins, which is the Chia coins. It just has the halving. What interested me the most was that they're constantly comparing in this white paper to themselves or using Bitcoin as an example. And in this example this is what they had compared Chia to Bitcoin and the volume of it. So these numbers, and obviously it states here that it represents a very close tie to the approach that they want to take, is to mimic Bitcoin at the same time, not want to be Bitcoin. That's one of their approaches, and that's what they're saying in this white paper in regards to that. I mean, I could be wrong. You may take a different take after you read it. I read it twice, actually a few times, and I kept flipping back and forth. I will, I just wanted to go through mostly of the white paper and the fact that I actually built out my rig. So after that's done, while it's doing that, I will go into more details technically on that as well. But today I really wanted to point out, what is Chia, who are they, and what were their visions of doing all this? Like, why? And there's a lot of great information. I suggest that you guys look into it and read up on it. You may get some information out of it. You may get some. I read it first before I decided to do all this, right? Before I decided to just taking money out and putting into hardware. I could have easily just went on eBay and bought, like, you know, a used server and, you know, with a lot of storage, tons of storage, and just let it sit here and run. But I grew up as a server technician engineer. I know how that's gonna sound like, especially if right now I'm in an enclosed room and I had that running. I have nowhere else to put it. I said, you know what, let me opt for something a little more quieter. And I know the new gaming rigs are so much more silent and efficient that I could run tons of terabytes off of this with minimal noise. Right now there is a slight hum, but it's not really damaging to my ears or even to this video. I would suggest you guys look over the white paper. I constantly refer back to it just to get a better understanding. I also follow Gene Hoffman on his YouTube because he has, and the team and the people that he interviews, a lot of great info technically, also like how to, like, you know, when they having issues with the plotting or the farming, all that information is there. You just have to like find it, because each one of those videos that they post is about like an hour to 2 hours, and I'm literally sitting there watching or listening to their discussion, because there's a lot of pause and gaps in between as I guess they read the live chat's questions or users' questions. So imagine every time they stop for like 10-15 seconds and just reading a question, and then they just come back and respond to it in front of the camera. Not meaning they walk off, but they just, their head is down or they're on the screen and just reading the question, like trying to absorb it. They're not repeating the question out loud. So sometimes they do, but in short, those because of all that, the video runs a little longer than it should. A lot of great information. And then, you know, obviously Cohen, he has a lot of insight to a lot of things, and you have top guys with a lot of storage knowledge. Now, I'm not going crazy. I'm not building out, you know, server racks of you know, like 4U servers and putting them out there. I wish I did. I could have many years ago when I was working as a storage, you know, in the storage area, in the storage networking area. Those are long past my days now, so I'm limited to what I can do at home with, you know, a single workstation. That's pretty much what I wanted to update you guys on. And of course, I hope you guys enjoyed the video clips of me putting together the rig that we built, that we bought, and also some of the things that technical wise I'm going to start doing screenshots, and I'll get a little more details of how I am running my plots and if I'm queuing them, the processor utilization of it. But I will definitely do another video for follow-up, all technical, on the rig itself to explain it better. But today was just more of a deep dive into what Chia is and how it's going to grow, and will it be a benefit. In my opinion, I think it can, because it's going to be able to utilize everyone at the same time. Like you being at home as an office worker, you know, working from home, or a gamer, and you know, you're buying like 10-20 terabyte drives for storage. I know most of us, I know for a fact, when I have storage, I overbuy because I don't want to reach that 99% capacity, and now I'm like, oh man, I need more space, right? So we usually that's something you usually buy abundance of, but never utilize it to more than like 75%. If you ever max out a drive, you know that's impossible to navigate on that machine, because it just becomes like so slow and sluggish because of the limited storage space. You know, you need extra space to constantly swap files, whether you're downloading stuff, and just, you know, it's just a mixture of things. But to utilize terabytes and terabytes besides storing home videos and pictures, now that, you know, obviously our resolution has gone up so much, unless you're really downloading so much movies. But even then, why would you do that when you have everything is streaming nowadays, right? I can remember maybe early 90s, I was downloading, like, I have tons and tons of MP3s, but if I took all the MP3s that I have now that were gigs, it'll be like 0.1% of a terabyte drive right now. So, you know, MAME and all those other good stuff that you would just download. I keep them for no reason, but I have stuff that I had for like the last 20 years. Unfortunately, none of that stuff has any Bitcoin in it, and that was the only downside to keeping storage for nothing, right? I want to thank you guys. I appreciate all of you who actually subbed because of my Chia video. I hope I can produce more content like that and better going forward. And I want you to stick with me because this is going to have to be the best journey I've experienced myself in regards to crypto. Thank you guys for being here. Bye.